Welcome to Celtic State of Mind. I'm John Dykes, and this evening we continue with our daily podcasts. We have now been uploading daily podcasts for 33 days running, and this evening's episode will not leave you disappointed. Back in 2013, Scottish music mogul Alan McGee spoke about discovering 14-year-old John Lennon McCullagh. McGee has discovered or worked with a number of my most treasured bands, including Las Vegas, Oasis, Primal Scream, the Jesus and Mary Chain, and Teenage Fanclub. So when his new label emerged with such a prodigious talent, I, like many others, sat up and took notice. At just 15 years of age, McCullagh signed to McGee's label 359 Music, and a Doncaster teenager released debut album North-South Divide at the end of 2013. John's acoustic and harmonica-drenched debut painted a picture of his observations of life in the mining village of Rossington in Doncaster. In a review of the album, John Robb of Louder Than War described John McCullagh as like a young Paul Weller, a 1977-era Joe Strummer, or a Billy Bragg when he was first on the road, but even younger. The sharp-dressed kid from Doncaster sounds like he has seen it all and is singing it back, couched in songs that drip melody and beauty and that have a gravelly wisdom and an anger when it's needed. The 2015 follow-up, Newborn Cry, was released under John McCullagh and the Escorts, and it was produced by former Laz and cast man John Power, who also co-wrote 8 of the 11 tracks on the LP. Newborn Cry also gave us the single Towerland Lullaby featuring Alabama 3. Check that single out on YouTube and look out for the St. Pauli t-shirt in the video. At 17, John had released 2 albums under 2 different guises, and 3 years later he returned with current band Children of the State. Children of the State were a self-proclaimed peyote punk band when they released debut EP Kill Your Darlings back in 2018. By that stage, John was making music for himself, and his influences beyond Bob Dylan, Woody Guthrie filtered in from the beat generation of Ginsberg, Burroughs and Kerouac, and none other than the Manson family, who the FBI referred to as Children of the State. Another EP, Gideon's Bible, arrived in 2019 before Big Sur, with another nod to Kerouac, was released last week. The Ian Skelly-produced Big Sur is loaded with a soaring, distorted organ intro, which leads into a doo-wop-inspired vocal melody and piercing fuzz guitar solo. Check the video out on YouTube. When Big Sur was named Axom's Single of the Week, frontman John McCullagh responded with an image of him in the hoops, so we just had to ask him on for a chat. Here is Children of the States, John McCullagh with a Celtic State of Mind. When we got the press release coming through for the new single, and I absolutely love it. So seriously, I love it.
Thank you very much, man.
But then when I see pictures of you wearing the hoops, then I love it even more. It's just massive
Celtic family. Support Celtic all my life. So when I seen that you'd put it up, well, buzzing. Sick. You know what I mean? I sent it to my dad who lives in Australia, who got me into Celtic and that. So I'm going up all my life. So yeah, it's all fitting nicely.
Oh, that's a good start. It's a good start. So with regards to that, you've referenced your dad who's over in Australia. Is that where you get the love of Celtic from? Is your dad a Celtic man?
Yeah, my dad's a massive Celtic man. He's been going all his life, and then he, inevitably took me. So he's from England, but yeah, he's living in Australia at the minute with his wife.
What do you think it is, John? What do you think that attraction is for fans of Celtic? Liverpool as well, where all over the globe they seem to attract people from all walks of life.
I think it's a good question. I think when you're at Parkhead and you see them green and white, run out, it just hits you in the heart like a song does, and you can't really describe that feeling, but it's, there's no better feeling than seeing them green and white run out.
You're absolutely right, and I have done a lot of chatting to people who've played with Celtic or support the club, and maybe I'm biased, but I think there's a real affinity with Celtic, Liverpool, and those of a creative and inventive mind. And I seem to speak to a lot of people who are musicians and artists and filmmakers who support Celtic, and they support Celtic. So why do you think that is, John?
I think, as you say, Liverpool, love Liverpool. We did the single there, actually, with Ian Skelly from the Coral. So yeah, I think it's that thing with Celtic, as you say, and the art. They kind of go hand in hand. The great thing with Celtic as well, you've got so much history going back hundreds of years of songs. You got the rebel music, you got the beautiful Irish ballads. It all kind of goes hand in hand, music and Celtic. Where a lot of other teams don't have that affinity with music. If you know what I mean.
Oh, definitely. I watch a lot of games and I hear a lot of generic football chants coming from the terracing, John. And you think to yourself, it's kind of soulless. You know, they don't have that same.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you mentioned
it's just recycled, isn't it? Celtic's got something pure. It's from the heart. You know, Irish music and writing is probably the purest form of art you can have. You know, you got Oscar Wilde, you've got Van Morrison, Shane MacGowan. You know, it's just something really beautiful that hits you in the soul like no other. It's a strange thing, and I think about it often, trying to figure it out, but I don't think I will.
No, you're right. It's amazing, and you've referenced Oscar Wilde, and I have thought about a lot of the greats, you know, the Irish, the great writers from Ireland, even, you know, Bram Stoker, for example, and James Joyce, all these fantastic writers.
It is really. I was speaking to our guitarist Nathan about it. We speak about it regularly. We just don't get, you know, how the Irish do it. Really, they've just got a way with words that touches beauty. In Ireland, you know, it's a very spiritual place, and I think it kind of taps into that psyche when you're writing these people.
You know, you mentioned the rebel music there, and I remember a quote from Noel Gallagher saying that his dad was a DJ when Noel was a kid, and he remembers all the Irish music growing up, and he says that, you know, that gave him that punch the air kind of ballad ability to write a song that, you know, would be chanted back to him from the terraces and also at his own gigs. Yeah. Now, that puts me back to Alan McGee and McGee signing all these Celtic fans. You know, Primal Scream, the Teenage Fan Club, the Gallaghers, they're all Celtic fans. I
used to be signed to him when I was younger.
and yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, McGee obviously...
A few years ago in my other project.
You know, McGee had terrible taste in football, but good taste in music, it would seem, John. Yeah?
Yeah, mate.
I remember you signing to Alan McGee, because as he does, obviously, he really champions his new signings. And when you look back at that age, John, I mean, it must have been a steep learning curve for you in your early teens to move into the music industry.
Yeah, I mean, I was 15 when I got signed. I'm 22 now, and, you know, I sometimes think about it, and I didn't realise, I don't think at the time, I won't say I didn't appreciate it, but, you know, at a younger age, it's hard to comprehend what it is. And then when you look back, when you get a bit older, you think, you know, fucking hell, that was actually, you know, quite amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's only looking back, really, that you can understand it a bit better. But it was, as we say, for the learning curve, it was brilliant. You know, I learned so much, travelled around Europe. You know, I left school, you know, to travel and play music and on my own, really, with my dad. Oh, my dad's always been there since, you know, I won't be doing the music if it wasn't for my dad. So, yeah, it was a pretty special time, but you can get too nostalgic looking back sometimes. It's important to focus on the now and your future writing and music.
Absolutely. You mentioned Ian Skelly there. Now, with regards to Liverpool music, I think the Coral were one in a long list of Liverpudlian musicians who I fell in love with, from Echo and the Bunnymen through the La's, the Real People, Mick Head, Edgar Summertime, and then
it's ridiculous, isn't it? The amount Liverpool have it. For me, it's the best in England ever for music. I don't think you can really argue with it.
And again, there is that. There's an Irish link there. Obviously, they've got the huge Irish diaspora in Liverpool, John. Yeah. When you decided to record your latest tune, what drew you to Liverpool then?
Well, we were kind of based in Sheffield for a bit, and we did our recordings with Nathan Sardi from the Spotlight family in Sheffield, which was really good. And then he you know, went on tour again, so we didn't see him up for a while. And we tried to record in Sheffield again, and it just wasn't right. There was just something missing. So we've always loved Liverpool. Me especially, I've been going there a lot through my youth. So we said it'd be great if we could just, get, Skelly from the Coral or someone to do it because, massive fans anyway. And we just kind of did it on a whim. And they got back in touch and says, yeah, come down to the Pastory, which is an incredible studio. And it just worked so well. It was just like we'd always been there. And been next to the Coast more and all that. You just feel more inspired. I mean, you only have to walk down the street to be inspired. You're walking on the same path that the Beatles walk, so it's not hard to look for inspiration.
Oh, absolutely. Now, there's a few references I want to tap into as well here, John. You mentioned the Beatles there, and there's a white album feel to your new tune. I'm thinking...
That's amazing, thank you.
No, it's my favourite Beatles album on a personal level,
It's mine too, I think.
Brilliant.
Today it is.
Yeah, that may change, and it usually does change. But I'm thinking back as well. I recently watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie.
Yeah, I'm staring at the DVD a bit as you speak, right, in my room. Yeah.
Everywhere I look, there's references to the Manson family here with Children of the State. Is this a coincidence, or is it all planned out?
It's I think it's a bit of both. We'll leave a lot of things open to interpretation because if something means something to me, it might mean something totally different to another person. You never know what anyone's thinking. We are, when we started the band, I was reading a couple of different things, bits and bobs on the Manson family because I'm a massive Beach Boys fan and kind of found interest in that through because one of the Beach Boys, and the name escapes me. I think it might be Mike Love, but I can't be quoted. Was good friends with him and made music. So I was only really ever interested in just hearing the music side of things. So yeah, I think everything you read and see, watch and play all influences you in ways that you don't really know at the time until you look back. So it's hard to say what something means, if you know what I mean.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I was looking at your previous work as well, been listening to your band all week actually, and Kill Your Darlings, obviously with the nod back to the 1950s Beat generation.
Yeah, definitely. That's, a couple of years ago, I was pretty obsessed with the Beat. Still am, to a degree, but, when you get to 19, and that's when you really get into them and discover, you want to travel, you want to hit the road, 100 miles an hour. You want to, it's just that feeling of excitement, really. And that's what I wanted to get into my own music and writing.
Well, it certainly works, John, and I'm really impressed. Obviously, you're immersing yourself not only in the music, but in the literature, the likes of Kerouac, and I'm thinking, is it a nod to Kerouac with the new tune as well, Big Sur? Yeah,
I mean, kind of. We've never been to Big Sur yet. It's my dream, which is kind of what the song's about. But, I think when you're just sat in your room and pottering about, I've got the book, staring at me. So everything you see just kind of influences you, really. You write about what you see.
Without a doubt. Now, the thing as well, John, you're talking about, you're staring at the book and the DVD there. We're all in isolation at the moment, John. How are you managing to deal with that? How are you managing that unusual scenario?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, obviously it's not good for the world, but for my personal self, I quite enjoy, being inside and reading and writing and watching films all night, till 6 in the morning, and I might try and paint. I'm not very good at it, but you can always try. Mm-hmm. So I think when you're into this creative process, it kind of takes you away from being isolated, because music, and reading, they're just escapes, the beautiful escapes to another world that, you exist in yourself. You don't really need to go outside when you've got so much, things at your fingertips. So yeah, I've been pretty okay, really. I just miss going to the pub, really, with my mates. That's about it.
No,
I'm sure it'll all come soon.
No, well, we'll make up for it, won't we, John, actually, once we get back into normality.
Definitely when we win the title.
Well, I was going to say that Celtic are imminently going to be awarded this title. I think that much is clear. John, how on earth are we going to celebrate around the world? We can't go down the boozer. We can't be with friends. Is it all going to be happening online?
It's a strange thought, really, especially with Celtic. We love celebrating, but, we love going to the pub and watching game. And there's the Celtic Supporters Club here in Doncaster where I live, at the railway where we go to watch the games if I can't make it. And that's always an amazing atmosphere, so that'll be quite strange to celebrate in isolation, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, I've seen some musicians have become quite inventive in how they're managing to come together during the isolation. Tim Burgess is doing Twitter listening parties. John, is there any plans for yourself maybe to do a living room session or anything at all that you can stream live for your fans?
Yeah, well, we've got our Nathan, he's the mastermind really behind a lot of stuff. He's, so on it with social media and that, whereas I can be a bit slow with it sometimes. But we've got our own blog that we've started. We have some film recommendations. I think we're going to put some album recommendations and, just stuff like that. So maybe watch that space. We might have something in a pipeline ready for that, yeah.
Oh, that would be ideal. Looking through some of your older images, John, I seen a great picture of you with Mick Head and John Power in the studio. How great was it to pick the minds of these two legends of Liverpool music?
It was, it's like going back to before. You don't really comprehend it at the time. I owe a lot to John Power for everything really. I met him when I was about 16, and he really took me under his wing and basically learned me how to write songs. I was in a studio with him for about 2 weeks, and he just taught me how to write songs and sing. Taught me a lot about life. Quite a spiritual person. So that was an amazing learning curve at such a young age, and still influences me to this day. So I'm writing a song, I'll revert back to that and think, what would you do for that? And then Mick had absolutely incredible songwriter, one of the most underrated. Invited me to a few shows to support him, and invited me on stage at the St George's Hall in Liverpool to play harmonica with him. So that was, absolutely incredible highlights of my life so far. It's I've been very lucky in a way.
No, I mean, Mick Head is just phenomenal, as you say, and for some reason he's kind of floated under the radar a lot of the time. I remember the NME said he was the greatest British songwriter you've never heard,
Yeah,
and, unreal. But I mean, right back to the Pale Fountains, the stuff that Mick Head does, if his name's on it, it's just going to be special. And that must have been brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, brilliant for you at such a young age to get involved and share a stage with Mick. Yeah,
it's pretty wild, really. But yeah, you just gotta stay focused on the prize, and and just take what you can from these experiences and try and make your own little world, which is what we're doing with Children of the State. With we wanted to separate because we've been in different projects, all of us, and we wanted to separate from previous things and not get caught up in like. I don't know. I don't really have to describe it. We didn't want to get caught up with other people. We wanted to make our own world. Put all our influences from literature to film, in all music, all aspects of life, and we wanted to, boil this soup of the Children of the State world. And I'm pretty pleased with it so far. I think we're achieving that goal. So as long as you stay true to yourself, you'll never fail.
Absolutely. Now, we've got on a Celtic State of Mind, we've got 17 or 18 contributors who write and they contribute to the podcast and they help with live events. And when a song comes through, I share it, obviously, with the group, and everybody was just blown away with the new single.
Amazing world.
Absolutely, John. It was, single of the week, basically, as far as Axom's concerned. And another great thing about it is, we consume our music differently these days. So, you watch it on YouTube. What a cracking video you put together for that as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was by the magic of Sam Crowson, who was just great videographer, director. We had the idea, like you say, actually, from the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. You know, we was all dead into that when it come out, still are, and so we kind of took elements from that setting and that era. You know what I mean? We made our own fictional television channel, which is a homage to the Yorkshire television as well. And we just, we made the board all ourselves, and it's all natural lighting, and it's probably the most fun I've had doing a video, and really pleased with it.
No, it's brilliant, and as you say, the fictional TV show with that theme tune that seems a bit familiar, it's just brilliant. It just fits in perfectly, John. And
thank you very much.
Everyone who's listening,
as I say, we're so into films as well. I think in another life I'd love to have been a film director, but so we want everything to be, visually pleasing and spot on.
Definitely, and again, it goes hand in hand, John. I mean, I think back to one of my favourite bands is Primal Scream, and my favourite album. Vanishing Point, which is obviously based on an old road movie, and for me, it's their finest work, and that takes some doing for Primal Scream because they've written a lot of fine records,
Yeah, I've had some magical times with their records.
I bet. Now, we had a great opportunity, believe it or not, John, going back to what we said about Celtic and music, we had an opportunity to actually watch the Lazio game at Celtic Park alongside Andrew Innes out of Primal Scream, and it must be my finest moment as a Celtic supporter, jumping up and down at full time with the main man from Primal Scream, Andrew Innes. Such a lovely
amazing,
guy.
Yeah.
A lovely guy. So how often do you get up to watch the games?
Since my dad moved back to Australia a year or two ago, it's been harder, and I've been really busy with the band, up and down the country. So whenever I can get to a game, really. I was down last year for an Aberdeen game. We were playing in Glasgow, actually. Right. The name of the venue escapes me, but it was cool. But I think my fondest memory of a Celtic game must have been about 6 when my dad took me to my first ever game, and it was Larsson's last game. So what an amazing first game to go to, and I'll always have a beautiful memory of that day.
Oh, that's a brilliant introduction. Put it that way, you've seen the King of Kings before he went off to Barcelona. But since then, you've enjoyed some incredible times as a Celtic supporter, John. And in the last 4 years,
been good on it.
Oh, it has been, and I think it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously there are bigger and wider issues at the moment, but it is unfortunate that the season came to a stop when it did. Because
a big shame,
Mm-hmm. Because Celtic would have gone on to win that 9 and potentially a quadruple. How do you think Scottish football's going to get over what's happened? Are we going to look at something that's going to seem completely different? I mean, I can see a couple of clubs unfortunately going by the wayside over the next few months, John.
Yeah, it's a sad thought. I mean, Scottish football's real. It has a lot of heart and a lot of passion, as opposed to so-called, big leagues with money. We need to harness these clubs. They're all, so much history in all the clubs and so much love for all the teams. We just got to, dust your boots off and hope for the best. Really, it's quite an uncertain time for everything, really. But football, it's the working man's sport. Originally, you gotta have these things for communities. Football teams are more than just football. They represent communities, and in many of them communities, especially where I live here in Doncaster, South Yorkshire, are destroyed. Because of the miners' strike, Thatcher, and stuff. So it's stripping away communities if these teams go. We need them.
Absolutely. I read a brilliant book by Professor Phil Scraton. It was Hillsborough the Truth, John, and he was massively inspirational throughout the last 31 years, actually, for the Justice campaign. And he speaks brilliantly about working classes and, as you say, small mining villages, of which, that's where I came from. My dad was a striking miner. And sometimes the only thing that you've got to look forward to in your working week is that game on a Saturday or a pint with your mates,
Yeah, there's no better feeling.
And that's the escapism, and I think that's why the football goes hand in hand with the music. It's a similar thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, you mentioned there you watched Henrik Larsson. You were privileged enough to see the great man in the flesh. What other players stick in your mind since then as a Celtic supporter? Who's been your kind of heroes down the years?
Well, I must have been about 7 or 8, and growing up all I wanted to do was play football, I wasn't interested in music, really, but, it was there, my dad showed me, but I didn't take interest in it, I just cared about football. And I remember going to cup final one year, I think it might have been against Dunfermline, actually, and I remember when Craig Bellamy was there on loan. And I remember being young and watching him, speed down the wing, and that was quite a big hero of mine at the time. I remember being quite blown away by him, and I also absolutely adored, Sean Maloney at the time. Mm-hmm. I had a top with his name on the back. That was cool. Alan McGee, I remember all them years really fondly, in Hearts and in that, and Zaraski. They were great times and great players.
Brilliant. And as you say, we're in the kind of best of times now. Hopefully at some point soon we can go back to Celtic Park. John, if you're interested in coming up as a guest at Celtic State of Mind, just say the word and we'll get you along as our guest. It would be an absolute pleasure to have you up here.
It'd be an honour, yeah, I'd love to.
Aye, absolutely. Have you any plans when we get back to normality, have you any plans to come up and do any shows in Scotland?
Yeah, well, once, as you say, everything's back to normal, we're definitely going to get some Scottish shows organised, because it seems to be getting quite a good pull at the minute because of this, and Irving Welsh tweeted our song as well. So hopefully we're going to get some good following over there and get some gigs, booked for later on in the year, definitely.
That would be absolutely brilliant. The single is Big Sur. Check it out on YouTube, and you can also obviously listen on all the usual places. John McCullagh, you've been an absolute pleasure to speak to you this evening.
You too, mate. Thank you very much.
Let's stay in touch, and you can come up to Celtic Park, and we'll do it for real next time.
Definitely. Sounds a plan, mate.
All right.
But you take care, mate. Thank you very much.
Take it easy now, sir. Thank you.
See you, man.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
A Celtic State of Mind are now producing daily podcasts. These are available in all the usual places, and you can check us out also at axom.net, where over 400 bespoke articles are archived on the site. New articles are uploaded on a daily basis from our team of contributors, and we're also creating new video content which is available on our YouTube channel. Everything a Celtic State of Mind does is free of charge, but you can support us by registering and subscribing on our own website, on Spreaker, and also on YouTube. We set up the daily podcasts after the country was put on lockdown as a result of the coronavirus. But now that we're in the actual routine of creating and producing daily podcasts, it's something that we are going to continue as we move ahead and move out of these uncertain times. It's been difficult for everyone over the last few weeks, and unfortunately we've heard some sad tales of people whose mental well-being couldn't handle the anxiety and the uncertainty of the current pandemic. Should anyone listening to a Celtic State of Mind feel as though they're at crisis point, then it's so important that you speak to your loved ones and you also seek professional advice. There is always another option. There's always someone that you can speak to, and it will always get better. We'll get through this pandemic, and hopefully we'll all see each other on the other side.